approach to the puzzle. Maybe we can solve it from the angle of the Freemasons. Their symbol is a T-square and compass. If we want to crack this case, we'd better find out what they mean. More importantly, we'd better learn how to use them. In Freemasonic law, Boaz represents the Earth, and Joachim represents the stars, but more specifically, Joachim represents the celestial bodies of the awesome phenomenon we call the star chart. The Masons are all about bringing the heavens down to Earth. How they do this is through something they call sacred geometry. To the Masons, the compass represents the spirit of the heavenly stars. And the Earth is the square representing the physical plane. By intersecting the two, they believe that they join the Earth and the heavens into one plane that they interact in to do specific rituals. Their secrets are a phenomenon within the universal plane of reality that is extensive. It is these phenomena that they worship and keep secret in order to passively control humankind. And as astonishingly unbelievable as it is, there is actually some real knowledge here. Let's draw a circle of arbitrary length and call its diameter 1. With radius equal to half. In order to determine the circumference of this circle, a phenomenon arises. We discover that it takes approximately 3 lengths of the diameter to equal 1 rotation. Here, we encounter our first transcendental number, pi. What started off as just a single line length of 0.5, ends up creating a line 6.28 times its length. The reason for this is that a curvilinear line simply travels farther than a straight line. Pi is an irrational number, since all rational numbers must have origins that are logical. That is, a number capable of being expressed as an integer or a quotient of integers. For example, half of something can clearly be shown by dividing 1 by 2. When it comes to irrational numbers, we know that pi exists since when we rotate a circle we discover that the number is real, but when we try to derive it using a ratio, we have to get very strange with the numbers to approximate it. For example, 22 divided by 7 is accurate to 2 decimal places. A closer approximation is 355 divided by 113. Nonetheless, it does not result in a precise quotient for pi. Moreover, when we are using geometric shapes, we should be able to come up with some sort of physical manipulation of its geometric form to equal pi. However, when we look at a circle inside a square, we cannot piece it up in a way to determine pi. Thus pi is also a transcendental number, since it is not the root of any polynomial having rational coefficients. This transcendence of pi implies that it is impossible to solve the ancient challenge of squaring the circle with a compass and straight edge. We'll just have to see about that, now won't we? Now, let's say we want to make an equidistant triangle. We might think intuitively that if we simply jump on a computer and build a box, then split the box in half, and draw a line from the corner of the box to the top middle, we'll be able to do it. However, not only is the line not equal to the original, but we know, as a result, the angles are not equal either. The sum of all angles of a triangle are 180, because the sum of all angles in a square is 360, and a triangle is simply half of that. So how are we going to make an equidistant triangle? Let's say we live in a more primitive culture that is still technologically advanced enough to be admirable, but is not standardized like we are in modernity. Let's imagine ourselves any time before or during the lifetime of Jesus, around the time of the Pythagoreans, the Academy, the age of the pyramids, or the time of King David. Since we are playing the imagination game, let's make ourselves into anarchist as well. This way we clearly establish that we have no ruler to set the lengths and measurements, instead we are using a natural scale. So, how can we do this under these conditions? I can't even intuitively create one on my computer, unless I use a shape tool. But, under the conditions I have described, there are no computers. Even if we had a 90-degree square, we cannot do it either. If we had a protractor it would be possible, but still a nuisance. It follows that in the 1950s, when Hubbard created Scientology, computers could not create the 2 equidistant triangle symbols he chose. So there must be a secret here. Astonishingly, the compass, seemingly by magic, will intrinsically create it for us. Simply pick any length and set it equal to our straight edge line we're calling 1. We'll mark the central point above our line with an X, by placing our compass on one end of the line and making a mark, then doing the same thing from the other end of the line. Now, we'll use our straight edge to make a line connecting both points. Wow! It looks like we've made the equidistant triangle. Let's make absolutely sure by checking the lengths. All lengths are the same. As a result, we know the angles are going to be the same too, but let's check. Amazing. They are all the same, equal to 180 divided by 3, which is 60. Now, let's see if we can make this length triangle into a rectangle. We can see that we are not going to form a perfect square from an equidistant triangle, since the square's height was shortened as a result of the curvilinear line, so let's go ahead and form a rectangle. We don't have a way to make a perfect corner since we are restricting ourselves to only using a straight edge, so to mean, we don't have a pre-measured 90-degree square. Actually, this is impossible. There is no way to make a rectangle without manufacturing a square to form a 90-degree corner. However, if I use this specific algorithm I can easily do it. Let's make one more circle using the central point of the pyramid as our foci. Incredible. All we have to do is connect these two new points with a straight line and we have a perfectly straight line at the exact height of our equidistant triangle. But we still need to get our perfectly straight sides. In order to do this, we need to find the midpoint of our original line. We can simply do this by using our straight edge to line up the top intersection of the two original circles and their intersection at the bottom. Great. Now we'll set our compass to that length, return to the top foci, and bisect the top line on each side. Simply, draw two vertical lines and we have now completed the rectangle. Unfortunately, in no way can we add these edges or triangles to sum up to pi. The key is to draw two more lines from each side of our original line to the two intersections that were created when we added the top circle. Unbelievable. When we add this line, and this line, plus the distance of the new length that we finally formed, we get approximately 3.15 or pi. This is a far more logical solution for pi than all other alternatives. It's accurate to approximately 1 to less than 2/100ths of a decimal. And as you'll see, there are characteristics of this solution that serve to edify its undebatable accuracy. Moreover, this isn't the first time 3.15 has been used for pi. To be sure, the precise measurement experiment of pi today is nothing more than an intellectual challenge with no practical application. The truth of the matter is, there is no such thing as a perfect circle and the actuality of pi as 3.14 has never been proven. It is a statistically generated result of the law of large numbers. Really, you simply get close and the decimal places to infinity are filled in by whatever material you are using. For this reason limits in calculus were created. Once humans introduced decimals, we realized that if we shoot an arrow and measure the distance as it approaches the target, we find that once the arrow gets down to the 1, then goes below it into decimal measurements, we will end up measuring decimals down to decimal 000 to infinity, without ever reaching the absolute point of impact, 0. Therefore, we have to cognitively force the numbers to make sense since we know the arrow did, in fact, hit the target. This is similar to the Einsteinian concept of relativity. We shan't tread upon an idea of the pre-existent content of the universe, doing so is infinitely recursive, we must simply accept what is, therefore, we can accurately state that a circle is only relatively circular, but is in reality, an ellipse. In fact, we discover this to be an axiomatic precept of the universe. The Earth is not a perfect circle, nor is our orbit around the Sun, they are elliptical. When we throw a ball, shoot a bullet, or fire a rocket, these two form elliptical trajectories due to gravity. Calculating pi to its infinitesimal is a waste of time, both pragmatically and spiritually. You will never find the end of pi because perfection does not exist. Period. Anyone who states that it does, is trying to sell you something. Satan espouses the existence of perfection, but it has never existed. The perfection of humanity is found in its imperfection. So, we can say it's imperfectly perfect. First there is disorder, then order, only to return again to disorder. This is the current state of things. This concept can be observed from the laws of thermodynamics. First is order. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transferred, and the second law is entropy, also known as chaos. Let's double check our numbers, using a more technologically advanced methodology.